When a loved one appears in a mirror, it can be an emotional experience that causes deep reflection on what has happened. Seeing a loved one in the mirror can be explained in many ways, from spiritual perspectives to neurological theories. From a spiritual point of view, mirrors are seen as gateways between the physical world and the invisible realm. It is believed that, in some special cases, the souls of the deceased may use mirrors to manifest and seek connection with the living. This is not a rare phenomenon. Many people have had experiences of seeing the image of a loved one in a mirror, sometimes as a faint image, and other times as clear as if they were still alive. This raises questions about the existence of the spiritual world and whether souls can truly return to visit their loved ones. From a scientific perspective, this phenomenon can be explained by something called pareidolia, where our brains recognize familiar images in objects that don't have a clear shape. When looking into a mirror, light and reflections can create illusions that we mistake for the image of a loved one. Emotions can also play a significant role in triggering these illusions, especially when we are experiencing grief and longing for a loved one. Our nervous system can be stimulated by strong memories, leading to the formation of images in our minds that we cannot clearly distinguish from reality. However, psychological factors cannot be overlooked. When we lose a loved one, we may go through feelings of sadness, depression, and a tendency to seek their presence in familiar places. Like in a mirror, seeing them may be a way for us to cope with the pain and loss, and sometimes it is a sign of being unable to accept their departure. Seeing a loved one in the mirror may also reflect the confrontation with unresolved issues in life or in relationships before the loved one passed away. In many cases, people feel an emptiness or loss after losing a loved one, and they may sense their presence in special situations, such as looking into a mirror. This is a way for our brain and mind to seek comfort as part of the healing process. After a loss, in many cultures, mirrors are not just simple reflective objects, but also carry a deep meaning about life, death, and the soul. Some beliefs suggest that mirrors can be tools for souls to cross the boundary between the physical world and the spiritual world. Such strange phenomena are sometimes not explained by scientific theories, but are often accepted as signs of the parallel existence of two worlds. This is one reason why many people believe that seeing a loved one in the mirror is a sign of spiritual connection, which sometimes they cannot explain. From a psychological perspective, these phenomena may be a natural reaction of the body when enduring the pain of loss. Seeing a loved one in the mirror may help us feel that they are still nearby, still protecting and watching over us. Even though they have passed away, those who are in a state of grief and sorrow may seek comfort from these illusions in order to accept the loss and gradually move into the healing process. Moreover, seeing a loved one in the mirror may reflect an important aspect of self-discovery. When a loved one passes away, we not only face sorrow, but also confront ourselves and questions about life, death, and the meaning of everything. A mirror can be seen as a symbol of self-reflection, helping us to contemplate and confront deep emotions that we may not have been ready to acknowledge before. In situations where people see a loved one appear in the mirror, there may be a special spiritual element related to the unfinished nature of the relationship. Sometimes, when a loved one passes away without resolving conflicts or saying the words left unsaid, the soul may try to manifest itself as a reminder, a sign for the living to reconcile with the past. The mirror may become a tool to connect unresolved emotions, a medium to soothe the pain, and create an opportunity for forgiveness, whether for oneself or for the deceased. Symbolically, Mirrors are often considered an image of reflection, not only of the body, but also of the soul and our deepest emotions. In many cultures, mirrors are also viewed as a symbol of self-awakening, helping us to see ourselves and the hidden things in our minds. Seeing a loved one in the mirror may be a signal for us to reevaluate ourselves, to realize the things we have not fully accepted or understood in our relationship with that loved one before their passing. Another important factor is the connection between memory and emotions in the brain. When experiencing loss, our brains tend to store powerful images and emotions from the loved one, and this can create illusions or images in the mirror. Our feelings toward the deceased may be strongly driven by old memories, making it easy for us to imagine them appearing in such special situations. Another aspect is the continuation of the relationship. Even though the loved one has passed, the sense of connection with them never completely fades. Seeing them in the mirror may be a way for our brains to continue maintaining that relationship, as if they are still somewhat present in our lives. This is especially true for those who have not yet fully let go of the feeling that the loved one will return one day. In these experiences, there may be an incredibly important element, the perception of time distance. When a loved one passes away, time seems to become a strange factor, no longer as clear as it once was. Seeing them in the mirror can blur the boundaries between the present and the past, making us feel as though they are still by our side. Time no longer flows continuously, but seems interrupted or stopped at certain special moments. This feeling may help us confront the loss and feel that our loved one is still there, that we can still sense their presence, even though they no longer exist in the physical world. Psychology also suggests that during the grieving process, we may seek signs to help us cope and move through the pain. Seeing a loved one in the mirror may be a sign that helps our minds begin the process of accepting the loss. In many cases, we need to see them one more time, even if only in a reflected form, to prevent the feeling of loss from becoming too overwhelming. This could be part of the healing process, as the living gradually learn to face reality and accept that their loved one has permanently passed away. Additionally, seeing a loved one in the mirror can also serve as a form of self-comfort. In times of weakness and sorrow, people tend to seek safety and closeness. The mirror, in this case, becomes a tool to create a sense of closeness and protection, helping alleviate feelings of loneliness and emptiness. These images in the mirror can offer a moment of comfort, even if just briefly, making a person feel they are not entirely alone in their pain. Another spiritual aspect is the connection between dreams and the images seen in the mirror. In many cases, people may first see their loved one in dreams before seeing them in the mirror. This could be a sign of a continuing connection, as though the soul of the deceased is trying to reach out and convey a message. Through dreams or reflected images, this connection can create a powerful feeling of linkage between two worlds, making people feel that there is an invisible thread connecting them to their departed loved one. When we reflect on the phenomenon of seeing a loved one in the mirror, we cannot ignore the role of belief systems and cultural factors in shaping the understanding and perception of this event. In many cultures, mirrors are not just ordinary objects, but are seen as mystical tools with powerful energy that can connect two worlds, the physical world and the spiritual world. In some cultures, it is believed that mirrors can hold the imprints of souls, and looking into a mirror can allow a person to interact with invisible entities or departed souls. Thus, the phenomenon of seeing a loved one in the mirror can be interpreted as a spiritual sign, a signal that the relationship with the deceased still exists, even though their physical body is no longer in this world. Moreover, this phenomenon can reflect a form of spiritual encounter during difficult times. People who are going through a period of loss or crisis may feel compelled to reconnect with a deceased loved one for comfort. Seeing a loved one in the mirror may be a way for the spirit of the living to seek reassurance, a way to continue feeling their presence in daily life. Even though they are no longer physically present, this can temporarily ease the pain, offering a sense of safety and helping them feel less alone in their grief. Another aspect is the reflection of unresolved emotions. In life, everyone carries with them emotions, memories, and even unresolved conflicts. When a loved one passes away and there was no chance to reconcile the relationship, seeing them in the mirror might be the mind's way of resolving these issues. It could be a sign that there are things left unspoken, things that need to be forgiven, and these images in the mirror may offer an opportunity to continue the healing journey for both oneself and the relationship that has passed. Along with that, the appearance of a loved one in the mirror can also evoke a sense of immortality, a belief that the soul of the deceased never truly disappears. These images can become symbols of immortality, of love, and the connection between two worlds, an inseparable part of our lives. Thus, seeing a loved one in the mirror is sometimes not just a strange phenomenon, but also a powerful message about the continuity of affection, that love and the bond with the departed still exist. Despite the physical separation, there is another element in the phenomenon of seeing a loved one in the mirror that many may not realize: the connection between the feeling of loss and the need to reconnect with the past. When facing the death of a loved one, we are not only experiencing a physical loss, but also a spiritual and psychological one. Losing someone close to us does not only make us feel lonely, but also tears us between the past and the present. Seeing a loved one in the mirror may be a way for us to temporarily return to the past, where that loved one still exists in our memories and in unfinished relationships. Mirrors, with their reflective nature, are sometimes not just a physical tool but also a symbol of self-awareness and re-identification in special situations. Seeing a loved one in the mirror can evoke memories, familiar moments we shared with them. When we see their image in the mirror, it feels like a reenactment of old relationships, helping us feel as if time has stopped and we can still find a connection with that person, even though they have passed away. For many people, the presence of a loved one in the mirror may also serve as a sign of protection and care. In difficult times, we often seek safety, a source of encouragement to overcome pain and anxiety. The images in the mirror can create a sense that our loved one is still there, protecting and guiding us. This may be a form of self-comfort that people seek when facing loss, as a way to feel that the presence of the loved one is still strong, even though they are no longer in the physical world. Moreover, these phenomena may be related to signals that we do not consciously recognize, invisible signs that the soul of the departed is trying to convey. Seeing a loved one in the mirror could be a way for their soul to leave a message or a warning for the living. These messages may not always be clear, but for those who believe in the spiritual world, this phenomenon can be seen as a sign of continuity between worlds. They believe that souls never completely leave, but always find ways to maintain a connection with the people they loved, even after death. Continuing, in these cases, the appearance of a loved one in the mirror may not only be a spiritual phenomenon, but also a part of the self-healing process. The feeling of seeing a loved one can help the living feel that the process of loss is not a complete end, but merely a stage in the cycle of life. Some people believe that death is only a transition from one form of life to another, and seeing a loved one in the mirror could be a sign of this transformation. It evokes the belief that although the loved one is no longer in the physical world, their soul continues to exist in another form and may still communicate or connect with the living. Another interesting aspect is the interaction between the mind and space. Every place we live in carries an energy imprint, a psychological mark formed through memories and emotions. A mirror, as a reflective object, can become a symbol of these energies, of the emotions and memories that are tied to us. When we see a loved one in the mirror, it may be that these memories and emotions are being reflected as a way to bring a part of the past and the relationship between the two people back to life. This reflection may revive deep feelings and unresolved bonds, encouraging the healing process and helping the living find peace in their soul. Seeing a loved one in the mirror can also be understood as part of a spiritual experience, where images and symbols play an important role in conveying messages. In many cultures, symbols like mirrors are often seen as gateways between worlds, a place where the soul can pass through or manifest its presence. Viewed from this perspective, seeing a loved one in the mirror could be a way for their soul to, I pass through the physical world to be with the living. Or conversely, it could be a way for the living to perceive their presence in the space between worlds. This also recalls theories about the invisible world, where space and time are no longer as we understand them in daily life. In a spiritual realm, souls may appear and disappear at any time, not constrained by time or space as in the physical world. The mirror, therefore, could be a medium for the soul of a loved one to pass through, creating fleeting images that we notice as if they have entered our space for a brief moment. A profound aspect of the phenomenon of seeing a loved one in the mirror is the connection between self-reflection and self-awareness. A mirror is not just a simple object that helps us see our own image, but a symbol of self-awareness and the truth within. When we see a loved one in the mirror, it might be that we are not just looking at their image, but also looking at a part of ourselves, a part of the memories and emotions we share. This feeling could be a form of spiritual reflection, where the reflection of the loved one in the mirror is actually a reflection of the unresolved inner parts of ourselves. Perhaps we have not fully accepted the loss, or still hold unexpressed emotions, and the mirror becomes a tool for us to confront those feelings. Additionally, another important element is the shift in our sense of space and time that the mirror brings. A mirror does not only reflect what is happening in the present, but has the potential to create a door connecting the past, present, and future. When seeing a loved one in the mirror, space and time seem to blur, as if we are looking at a moment from the past or a moment that does not belong to the present. This can create a strange yet comforting feeling, as though the loved one still exists in another dimension of space that we cannot see with our physical eyes. This feeling can make us feel close to the departed, creating harmony between two worlds, one physical and one invisible. Moreover, this phenomenon may not only reflect a spiritual connection, but also be a manifestation of unresolved emotions in our minds. Sometimes, when a loved one passes away, we do not have the chance to say goodbye or resolve lingering conflicts. Seeing them in the mirror could be a way for these emotions to be expressed and released. In some cases, this may help the living find peace, as if the relationship with the departed has been completed or reconciled. This could be part of the spiritual healing process, as the living begin to learn how to let go of unresolved matters, thereby creating inner peace. Finally, seeing a loved one in the mirror may also be an experience of restoring inner strength. When faced with loss, people often feel weak and drained of energy. However, seeing a loved one in the mirror could be a way for the living to regain courage and spiritual strength. Like a companion, the image of the loved one in the mirror can become a source of encouragement, helping us get through this difficult time and find a rebirth of self, even in a different form.